KevOnStage. Now, the only time that I've ever covered KevOnStage was when KevOnStage wanted to cover and give his thoughts after Kevin Samuels passed away. Now, you guys know that me, Anton from AntonDaniels.com, decided that I wanted to get away from and I wanted to actually let Kev rest in power. I'm not even going to say rest in peace, rest in power. His family is in a great space. His mother, his daughter, and so we want to let them rest in peace and be able to have some kind of solace in the idea that Kev left this space in a better space than had he not been here. That's a fact, though. All right? And so there were a lot of content creators and haters of Kevin Samuels that then came out of the blue, and they wanted to give their thoughts on the misogynistic ways of Kevin Samuels and all this other type of stuff. And they have nothing. Most of them ain't have nothing to say when he was alive, but they had a lot to say when he left, right? So that was the only time, because, you know, we get to the money over here. And so getting to the money, if KevOnStage ain't talking about nothing or it ain't coming back to the money, then it's nothing for us to cover. But he covered that, and so I took a little bit of my time because I was on a rampage at that time. And so I've stepped away from it. I took a little bit of time to address it and address some other people, including some pastors and preachers and KevOnStage and Boyce Watkins and what's his name, Umar Johnson, and all of those guys, right? But KevOnStage has recently hit my radar as way of an email that somebody sent to me over the weekend that KevOnStage said that it's a content recession out here. He said content creators are going through a recession. Apparently, I didn't get the memo. You know what I'm saying? Apparently, I didn't get the memo. He said content creators are going through a recession, and he was speaking to himself. The bag chasers didn't get the memo. So let's deep dive into it. I'm going to share with you what he said, and let's break it down. Make sure y'all hit a like for the algorithm, subscribe to the channel, and turn on your notifications. If you have not already, make sure you tap into the Patreon. The link is in the description, as well as pinned to the top of the chat. Let's get to it, y'all.
Yeah, I wanted to clear something up real quick. I realized I said this at length on Patreon, but I didn't address it in the public. So as you've noticed, I've been promoting Patreon more and more, especially the last week or so. And I never really said why. So I'll just be upfront with you like I was with the Patreon yesterday. Podcast revenue has been down around 70% for me.
Let's stop there. I'm going to play the whole video, but I want to break this down frame by frame. He said, basically revenue from content, as far as they podcast and all of this stuff, is down 70%. 70%. That's crazy. I would say that podcast revenue for me is up 70%. Listen, he is not the first person that I've seen this from, but I see a lot of content creators that saying that, yo, revenue is down significantly. We down 70, 75, 80%. We not making no money no more. It's tight out here. Bag chasers. We don't want to brag. We don't want to talk about it. You know, I show my numbers. I'm not going to sit here and give you some mythical figures, 70, 80%. You seen what my numbers are. You seen everybody eating over here. We hiring. We not laying off. If you used to work for KevOnStage or what's my man name? The guy with the Coffee Hour podcast. What's his name? Graham Stephan. I know he laid off his editor. I know all of y'all going through layoffs or whatever like that. It's different over here, though. So if you want to come over here to Death Row, come and holler at your boy. We ain't going to be dancing all in your videos. I know it's tough for a lot of content creators. I'm not going to say no names because I promised some people that I wouldn't come after them, or I wouldn't even mention them as long as they stayed and played their position. It's a lot. It's some gnashing and some suffering at the teeth. I'm going to give my thoughts in a minute, but he said that revenue was down 70% over at the KevOnStage studios.
In all my podcasts. Josh, Angel, and Greg salaries are dependent on podcast revenue. And it used to be
not just throwing your people under the bus saying that they dependent on podcasts. Listen, don't talk about my salary. Listen, just give them a general idea. Don't be sitting there talking about I'm about to be broke if we don't get our revenue up in order for you to continue to pay your people. We ain't never laid off over here at the Anton Daniels from Anton Daniels Media Studios over here. You know what I'm saying? Let's continue.
tremendously lucrative and I was able to pay them and all that type of stuff, but it's downturned tremendously. So instead of having to lay them off or reduce their salaries, I decided to give the Patreon audience and you an opportunity to help basically save their jobs. I'm not even,
Jesus.
Put it plainly. In order to help keep them on payroll, I'm going to offer more stuff on Patreon.
Not begging for Patreon so you can save people jobs. Let me get a butt up. Boom. Not begging on pay. Listen. Let me tell you, Patreon, the reason I have one of the biggest Patreons is not because we begging people to come to the Patreon. It's the value that people see that we bring to the people. It's not because of, people roll with me because they see the value that they get as a result of rocking with me, because we meet up with the people, because we add value into their life, because we help them make more money, because we actually are pouring into them, and we are a community and a tribe of people. Don't donate to me in order to make sure that I'm happy or that I can continue to save some jobs. That's not a good business model. And this is why I keep telling y'all, a lot of these people got lucky and they just so happen to be hot at the time that the internet was paying attention, but they didn't necessarily have the talent, the business acumen, the ability to continue to draw an audience and grow a platform. And they did it fast. But they didn't have the ability to be able to sustain it and grow it. And so what you're seeing now is not a downturn in content creation because it's up for the people that I know. What you're seeing play out now is the separation between the real and the fake. It's a separation between the real and the fake. The ones that actually is hitting and continuing to produce and win on the biggest level. I don't care if all of the NBA players decided to start a podcast. I don't care who stream at the time that I stream. I don't care about what nobody else doing. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and I'm ready to compete on the highest level. I'm not worried about what anybody else is doing, because the separation between the ones that's great at what they do and the ones that have a great business acumen and know how to monetize their platforms effectively, it's going to separate. It's going to be a difference between the ones that know and the ones that don't. And so if you're not ready, then you're just going to wash out. That's what's called capitalism. Capitalism ain't no different than every other platform. I was reading the comments in this video when he posted it. And the comments was like, hey, y'all, we need to come together to save the platform. Oh, man, they should be worth more than this and all of this other stuff. No, you are worth whatever the value is that the market determines. Sometimes there's shows that go out of popularity or they go out of production because it's a bad show compared to when they first launched. American Idol is not the American Idol that when they first launched at the time that they launched, because it's a different economy, it's a different space. People are in a different area and they want different things. They want more authentic content. They want a different type of thing. That's why these studios need to give me $30 million. That's why these studios need to listen. At one point, and this is just being real, y'all thought that Boyce Watkins was at the forefront of what black people are supposed to be like when they talk about money. He's like watching paint dry. Let's just be real. Don't nobody want to listen to Boyce Watkins? Now you see a lot of these content creators, they trying to do some of the same things as the Manosphere doing. They want to do this. I see a lot of these people that used to talk sports, now they want to talk about relationships. Man, that ain't your expertise. I dare you. You're going to get washed over here. You don't even want to stand in this type of space. You don't even want to know about what it is that I've got planned for y'all going into 2024, because it's going to be a reckoning. And if you are not a great content creator, if you don't know how to pivot, if you don't know how to produce, there's a lot of content creators that hit a ceiling. And so now it's downhill because their numbers is going off. Bro, do you know that the Anton Daniels channel, let me show you something, bro. Let me tell you something. A lot of people don't even know. Because if you go to the About page, and I'm always going to make it about me because it's my show and I do what I want to do. Do you know, bro, that I'm going to just keep it 100 with you. We did over seven on the Anton. That ain't even the Millionaire Morning Show. On the Anton Daniels channel, and a lot of people not even familiar with this, we did over 70 million views. 70 million. Across all of my different platforms, across YouTube and stuff, I've done over a quarter of a billion views. We are coming. When I start to share my numbers with a lot of these people, with a lot of these executives that we in negotiation with in order to get that $30 million and all of that, when I start to break it down, when I start to go into the numbers, you know me, I don't mind showing it to you. Because if you just go to the About page, it's not going to show you what the real is. It's not going to show you what the real is. It's going to show you what it is that we present to you, that we didn't private, that we didn't take off, we didn't remove. Overall, we did over 70 million views. That's a fact, though. 6.2 hours of watch time. 6.2 million hours of watch time. $70 million views, over 6.2 million hours of watch time. One channel. Views, watch time. When we present the numbers to the people, that ain't even the Millionaire Morning Show. That's just the Anton Daniels channel. When we present the numbers and we start showing it to these network executives, when we do over a quarter of a billion views and millions and tens of millions of watch hours, it's going to shake out. See, just say you boring and that people and the content that you putting out there don't resonate with the people anymore. Just say you boring and the content that you putting out don't resonate with the people no more. See, nobody is impressed by subscribers anymore because that don't translate into the money. Nobody is impressed by what it is that you have on Instagram anymore because that don't necessarily transition into conversions. See, when these people, they go out and they say, hey, we going to show up here and it's be dead there. But then when we say, yo, we come in DC and it's only for bag chasers, only it ain't even for the general public, we sell that bitch out. I'm sorry. I ain't mean to say the B word. My apologies to the people in the church, to the people at the daycare center. We just strike that out. But just say you don't know how to monetize your platform and that you got layoffs. Make sure y'all jump into the Patreon. We gonna teach y'all. If you need help, come over to the Patreon and the Bag Chasers. We gonna make sure that you understand how to monetize your content. And you're going to be making way more money than these people that think that they got all of the subscribers. We gonna crush them in every single way. We generate literally more than 6 figures every single month over here on the Bag Chasers just from the content alone.
More shows, more exclusive content, things like that. I asked my Patreon if they could increase their monthly gift by $2 or $3.
Oh no!
I'm asking more people to join.
Oh no!
So that I can continue to keep these people on payroll and other creators around be able to help them do what they do, pay some of their bills as well. One question I get a lot is, what about the app? What's going to be on Patreon? What's going to be on the app? I'll always make the distinction on what's going to be on the Patreon and what's going to be on the app. But the people I mentioned, Josh, Angel, Greg, they don't work for the app. So what the app doesn't directly affect them. They work for the podcast part of KevOnStage Studios, and that's the part that's been hit the hardest. And also the Patreon, as a result of starting the app, was also hit very hard. It dropped tremendously. So I used to be able to supplement their salary even when podcasts drop by Facebook revenue or Snapchat or whatever. But if you hear in the news, Facebook says they're not paying creators anymore. Instagram's not paying for Reels anymore.
Facebook just cut me a check, the biggest check that I didn't have from Facebook thus far. I don't know what these people are talking about, yo. Listen, I'm so thankful that I was able to get the business lessons and then apply it to the content creation. And then I got better than them at content creation because Not begging. You can't beg in order to listen. It's not the people's responsibility in order for you to take care of the salary of the people that work for you. Everybody that worked for me got raises. Everybody that worked for me got raises. You can't tell people to increase their giving. What you do is you increase the value that you add to them, and then if they choose to continue to work with you because they can't go without the value that you add, that is the way that you start to continue to increase the people that patronize you. If you can't hack it, if you can't cut it, then just say that. If your podcast ain't popping or you boring, then just say that. All businesses, look, in every other business in life, if it ain't working, then you got to do layoffs. If it ain't working, then you got to do layoffs. Do some cutbacks. You can start doing your own editing. You can start doing your own editing. Maybe you need to get a different podcast or whatever, so on and so forth. But listen, if the restaurant not popping, then they got to lay people off. If the plan is not popping, then they got to lay people off. This is called capitalism. The people will go where they see the value or where they feel like they can continue. We got over 2,000 people in here watching live right now. We ain't even finished expanding over in the spaces that we supposed to be in. The people will go where they see the value. If you are not a value add, then you are going to be removed from the visibility of the people. You are going to fall out of favor. I hope you had investments in other things and you're not just dependent on this in order to survive, because if they work for you, then they probably going to be working for me. Then I'm going to have them be doing some strange things for some change on camera. You know what I'm saying?
Or things like that, like that's where that supplemental income was coming. So I really don't have the extra businesses to offset that. So I told the Patreon, I'll tell you, it's if you want to continue to see these podcasts and see that stuff, it's gonna have to come from people like you. Otherwise, I just won't be able to sustain it personally.
Go ahead and do your layoffs.
My businesses run.
Let them get in the unemployment line like everybody else.
Each has to be successful. Live, merch, me as an actor or whatever, brand deals. But I can't, any good business owner can't continually pull from a struggling business and support it with other businesses, because eventually it just pulls too heavy on the other ones. So it was up to the people, and that's where that came from. And another question I've got is, what about the app? Should I keep both? I don't want to tell you what to do. Obviously, it's my hope that you keep both, because there's also people who work for the app that I would like to keep gainfully employed. But I've been putting everything towards the app, even my own investments. And if the podcast revenue hadn't dropped this much, I wouldn't even be doing this.
Somebody said 2,000 people on a live stream is not really a lot when people have 20 to 40,000 live. Okay, well then let's see how we compare monetization. Because in the United States of America, I'm regularly in the top 50. In the United States of America, I'm regularly in the whole country, I am regularly in the top 50. And we definitely busting down more checks than them. That's a fact, though. We definitely richer than them. We definitely busting more checks than them. We definitely negotiating bigger deals than them. That's a fact. See, here's the thing that people don't understand. I'll give you a little bit of a hint, right? My core audience and the people that love me, they love me. They love me. I had a conversation with the lead attorney on his platform one time, and the lead attorney said, Anton, and I'm going to keep mentioning this, and the lead attorney is my guy, but I'm going to keep mentioning this. The lead attorney said, Anton, would you rather have 1 million subscribers or 100,000 subscribers that you have? And I said, I'd rather have my 100,000. And they laughed at me. And I added the context. I said, I'd rather have my people that really, really core mess with me than have 1 million fair weather, because the subscribers numbers, they don't mean any. Listen, I know people that got 1 million subscribers and can't throw a rock inside of the ocean, bro. They don't mean anything. If you can't translate that into something, listen, you can have 50,000 people watching, but if it doesn't translate into revenue, it doesn't mean anything. I've seen 4,000 and 5,000 people watching a live stream, and I don't even ask for cash apps or super chats. I just say I'm going to acknowledge the people that support the platform, because You see the value in what we doing. And so just because you see the value, I'm always going to read your super chats because I appreciate everybody from $1 to $500. But let me be very, very clear. Let's be very, very clear. I've seen people that have had 3, 4, 5,000 people on the live stream and can't get a $5 super chat to save their life. So if you dusty, just say you dusty. We with it. We with it. Listen. If y'all got so many people that is rolling with y'all, then you ain't got to worry about doing layoffs, right? While we having a conversation, they got all of these millions of followers on Instagram. They got all of these people that's watching them and it's in their live streams. Why they doing layoffs? Why they begging for the people to continue to hold them down? And they still doing layoffs. That's all I'm asking.
Because I would be able to pay people from whatever in the app people could be paid from. But the podcast revenue dropping just threw a wrinkle in the plan. And it's been happening for well over a year for me. But the other stuff started dropping as well. So my personal family's doing okay. It ain't that situation, but that's that. So in exchange for more content, you'll be able to see more stuff. In exchange for that, these people will keep their jobs. And it's my hope that it all works. So there will be new Patreon stuff I'll be promoting. There'll be new stuff on the app. And you, the viewer, will decide what you want to do and support. I'll leave that up to you. Again, I hate to even do this, but I don't know what else to do. I ain't got no other options. The podcast proliferation of content has tremendously threw a wrinkle in the way things worked. And I thought towards the end of this year it would work, but the last 3 months were like 3 of the worst months ever. I mean,
not the 3 of the worst, not you bigger than you'd ever been, but your last 3 months is worse. Not bigger than I ever been, got most subscribed, not having more followers and Instagram people rocking with you than it ever been, but you had the worst 3 months ever. Listen, and I get it because, they laugh at you, you know what I'm saying, when you're downturn and then when you come back up and all of that stuff. Listen, get your money, do your thing, but let's be clear. Let's be very, very clear. You have to adjust the business model to you, and the fact of the matter is, if you are as good as you say you are, then it's going to work out. And if you don't understand the business side of it, then it's going to shake the way it's going to shake. And then you got to go and get a regular job like everybody else. It's nothing wrong with I still work a regular job. It's nothing wrong with going to get a regular job, family. When you don't have it anymore, you had your run, you made your money, hopefully you used it wisely, go and get a regular job.
I told the Patreon this, podcasting this year, there were times where the Love Hour itself, just alone, made more than all my podcasts consistently this year. And if you watch podcasts, you'll see like Marriage Be Hard doesn't have nearly as much ads as the Love Hour used to have.
That's because these simps are starting to wake up and they coming over to Anton from AntonDaniels.com and they said, listen, Love Be Hard, Woman is Womanin, or whatever the name of y'all podcasts are. They realizing that, wait a minute, y'all just be talking. Y'all not really adding no value in our lives.
Has one ad, maybe 1 or 2 tops, and a lot of episodes with none. So that's no revenue. And YouTube doesn't pay nearly as well as it used
they
to.
do.
So blah, blah, blah. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but that's that.
YouTube
so
pays
I hope you
great.
understand.
YouTube pays incredible.
Remember, if you can't pay for anything and you just watch stuff for free, it's totally fine. All I'm doing is offering it to you. Only you know your own finances. I'm not even gonna edit that out because I gotta go. Only you know your finances. This is just my offering to you. You decide what you want to do with your money. I'm just telling you why I'm going so hard. All right, I love it.
So if y'all want to continue to keep people employed over at the KevOnStage platform, be sure to go and up your Patreon contributions to him in order to keep the people employed. That's not a sustainable business model in my opinion. So I think that he's going to have to make some adjustments, but who's to say?